Welcome back to Life in Cyber. Today we got a special guest, Kyle Kelly. He's a security researcher, and he's here to tell us a little bit about his career and his path to his current role. Let's tech to it. God, shut up. Here.
Thank you. Get you away from the microphone.
Everything can be adjusted.
Well, Kyle, why don't we start with just you giving us a little bit about yourself? Like, tell us a little bit about your history, your career path, your interests. Like, you could tell us about your life, your shirt size, anything like that. We're open to whatever.
Sure. Shirt size, I am a medium. Depending on the brand. But yeah, so I guess starting back why I got into cybersecurity in the first place, I think like most people in the space, I was obsessed with video games growing up. So the story I usually tell, my mom worked multiple jobs when I was born, single mother, and she had a dedicated dial-up line in her bedroom, and we got our first home computer when I was about 4 years old. So I was 4 years old with my own computer and a dedicated dial-up line, and my mom, who was oftentimes at work, which meant I was probably the youngest and one of the original to be preyed upon in the AOL kids chat room. So pretty quickly from there, around 6, I got introduced to RuneScape, and I got obsessed with that, walking around Lumbridge, killing goblins or chickens, because the goblins probably killed me. And that pretty much just turned into every mother's nightmare at that time. All I did was want to play video games 24/7, especially around middle school. It was just like, I'm not going outside. I don't want to hang out with friends. I'll hang out with them online. But then it got to like, oh, all my friends are now playing World of Warcraft. They're playing RuneScape. They're playing this other game. And they all take up your entire life. So how can I be good at all of them? Well, I need to find shortcuts. So I got into like bot development or just leveraging bots. Call of Duty wasn't fun unless you had hacks. So it's just like trying to break everything so that I can be competitive at all of those things.
So you sucked at every game.
Yeah, that's that's one way to put it. But looking at the leaderboard, I would be up there. So that's all that mattered.
I got the free skin, Mom.
RuneScape was my start too. I'm happy to hear that. Good old Java runtime environment.
Yep.
Fuck is a RuneScape?
It's a game you never truly quit. So unfortunately, I still have an account. So I don't play it because I played hardcore in Iron Man mode, which meant if you die, you basically lose all your progress. And I started having legitimate nightmares that I was dying in my sleep. And so it was just causing too much stress. So now I have it. I just don't play it.
See, you can actually quit. And I learned the trick to this. The trick is have your mom play. Because if you're a teenage boy, you can't like the same thing as your mom. It's not a thing.
I did not think of that one. But
Did you evolve into like the World of Warcraft and all of the other stuff? Are you still an RPG kind of player, or are you still in the I'm gonna use bots to be on the leaderboard of Call of Duty mentality?
So around sophomore, junior year of high school, I got crazy addicted to StarCraft 2. And so I put pretty much everything aside, and I played about 10 hours a day for about a year and a half. And I was relatively competitive. I didn't like qualify for Worlds, but I was competing in some tournaments, and I thought it was like a real potential future for me. But then they buffed Terran, and I was a Zerg player, and the Widow Mines just like totally annihilated all of my strategies, and it made me quit. So I still play StarCraft.
See, Shannon, esports is real. Kyle could have gone in at the ground level. He just wasn't quite good enough.
Yeah, my younger brother, he played Valorant since it was in beta, and he played at like a I would say a professional level. He was scrimmaging with people like Ninja from Fortnite, and he was playing with like FaZe Clan and all those big names. He created a team called Green Beans, and their logo was made in Microsoft Paint. And there are still recordings on YouTube and like big major Twitch live streams where it'd be like FaZe Clan versus Green Beans, and I thought that was awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we're legitimately on YouTube too, and that doesn't mean we're anything special.
Come on, Shannon.
This is why Shannon's never getting a cut.
Not that we make any money anyway.
Exactly. So, when did you decide to make that switch? Was it college? Was it, I guess, college, yeah? Or was it just something in school that made you make that switch over?
Going into college, I picked computer engineering because Google said it had the highest pay. And cybersecurity, it had okay pay, but it wasn't as big as it is today. And by the time I was finishing school, I was working as a junior sysadmin, junior network admin, and I was really interested in security, obviously. And I started seeing that the salary was trending upwards, and I was like, oh, I could live okay on a security salary. And then obviously I had the internship working with you, Josh, and after that, it kind of just felt like sky's the limit.
So what was that education path like? Did you go undergrad, grad, work, or did you like undergrad, work, graduate on the side? Like, how did that work out?
For most of my undergrad, so I was on the cross country and track team at Stony Brook. So it's a D1 program. So that alone was basically like having a full-time job plus school. Being an engineering major was super stressful. I think where things really started happening was when I switched to being an information systems major, which was significantly easier, especially because I had some part-time work experience as a junior sysadmin. And so I actually wound up graduating early while working 2 part-time jobs and continuing with track and cross country. I can't really say what I learned in school contributed much to cybersecurity. So Cram Hacks, which is now my weekly newsletter and blog, I had a similar newsletter or a similar blog when I was in undergrad. And I named it Cram Hack because instead of studying for exams, I was sitting there writing cybersecurity blogs. And so a lot of Hack the Box, a lot of just like reading textbooks for like the Security Plus, and just out of personal interest is where I'd say I got most of my cybersecurity experience, plus the jobs, of course.
Did you pursue any like certifications or anything like that along the way? Like how was it? How did you develop the skills? Was it all on the job, or was it a little education and job? And how did that work?
It was mostly on the job, but also just being like obsessed and be like embedding myself into all these communities. To this day, I'm in dozens of Discord servers, Slack servers. Just some of them I've been in for almost 10 years now, just chatting on a daily basis about cybersecurity and what's going on. But yeah, I did get certifications mostly after undergrad. My first full-time role out of college was as a consultant, and I hate to say it because I was one, but a fresh grad consultant is nonsense to me. And I needed to find a way to prove that I know what I'm talking about. And how do you do that in the consultancy world? You get every letter after your name. So within my first 6 months, I had the OSCP, GCIH, GWAPT, Sec Plus. I had I think an AWS cert. And then a year later, I got the CISSP, which I might be the youngest CISSP holder, maybe.
Nice. Cram Hacks. Let's talk about that a little bit. Did you just like writing about security, or where did your passion for writing come from?
So I always liked writing. I feel like it's just a nice form of expressing, I like being expressive, I guess. That kind of goes with my whole I don't filter my thoughts mantra. I just like to get it all out there, and writing it down is one way to do that. The reason why I started Cram Hacks within the last year was because at SemGrip, where I'm a security researcher, I was speaking with Clint Gibbler, who's the founder and author of TLDRSec, super successful cybersecurity newsletter. And he was helping me kind of figure out what the heck I want to do with my life, because I know I like cybersecurity. I don't really love doing mundane tasks for work. I hated pen testing because 99% of my job was taking issues that people have found before me and then just reperforming them. There's nothing really special about that. Um, and so the conclusion after speaking with Clint was basically, I don't love doing work in cybersecurity. I just love learning. And so by having a newsletter where I have to read countless articles, sift through them, summarize them, and maybe give my own personal opinion on them, it's one way to force myself to learn, and it's also just really enjoyable.
And you can claim it as CPEs.
Yes, you can. You can also claim YouTube videos as CPEs. So there's
Allegedly.
I think that's the real reason Shannon's here.
I've openly admitted this. This is not a secret.
One of the things you just mentioned, Kyle, was you were talking about a mentor that you found, right? And we talk about mentorship here on the channel a lot, in the sense of we encourage everybody to always find one and to be really super brave about it, and just not like embrace how awkward it can sound, right? So how did you get started with that person? Like, how did you meet them? How did you start asking them advice? Like, was that a weird experience?
No, not at all. I wouldn't say I have any one mentor. Like I said, I'm in so many different communities. I probably have a handful of mentors in each one of them. I don't outright say, "Hey, will you be my mentor?" It's more of just, you know, I have a question, they actively respond to them, and we keep the conversation going. A lot of people in the cybersecurity space, I feel, are really willing and able, when they are able, to give back. And so, if you're just asking good questions, you're likely to get good responses from people who know the answers.
So how do you craft a good question? Like, can we help some of the folks who are like just starting their career get past that like social block of like, I don't know what to ask, I'm so scared, right? Like, how do you get them to just ask it? To you, what was a good question that helped you?
Well, one of my first managers was really a big proponent of the whole, like, you better Google it before you ask me. So that, plus just like some of the communities that we're in are less friendly. And so if you ask stupid questions, they will very gladly point it out. So this is kind of the complete opposite of what you're asking for. But like, to ask a good question, just do your research, show that you did the research. Say, rather than just saying, "Hey, can you explain how this works?" Be like, I've been trying to figure out how this works. I found this article. It mentions XYZ, but I'm still not really understanding this part. And then, so like, you have to narrow down the question to where it's valuable knowledge. It's not just something you can Google or quickly find in the docs.
And then when you got to that point of talking about like where you want your life to go with the other person that you're talking about, did it start as that, like with the technical thing, and just going from there, continuing the conversation, or was it just
No, that
more, I
was
guess, more natural in that regard?
that was a complete, like, Kyle meltdown. It was just I don't know what the heck I want to do scenario, and I pretty much just outright said that. It's just like, "Hey, can we just chat about career progression or career development?" And I'm just not really sure where things are heading, and it would be nice to just bounce ideas around. Uh, I'd say every couple of years I kind of go through that. I get bored very quickly, especially with things that I've done before. So once I've done something once, I don't really want to have to do it again. That's why I think I found kind of my home in research, in the sense that a lot of what I'm doing now is stuff that has never been done before, or hasn't. I'm taking roads that are less taken.
You're not just redoing the same attacks that the folks did last year in the other audit.
Yeah, there's Clifford Stoll from The Cuckoo's Egg. He has my favorite quote, which is, "The first time you do something, it's science. The second time, it's engineering. The third time, it's just being a technician. I'm a scientist. Once I do something, I want to do something else." So that's pretty much what I live by now.
I like that.
Yeah, and it's I've been recognizing it in other places as well. Like when I first worked at SemGrip. So SemGrip is a static code analysis tool, but basically, a lot of it felt like magic initially, and it was just like, how the heck is this working? Like I write this simple SemGrip rule, and I can do like taint flow analysis and interfile analysis and find vulnerabilities across projects, and it's super fast. Like how the heck is that all happening? Now that I know the inner workings of SemGrip, it's less exciting, but it was still really fun to learn that. And now there's like other avenues within the company or it just in the industry itself. It's like this competitor is able to do this. That's so cool. Like how are they doing it? It seems like magic, and I need to figure it out.
So we get a lot of questions on the cast for people who want to be pen testers, and you're one of the first people we've met that said, "No, it kind of sucks." Can you elaborate a little bit more than that? Is it just that repetition, or is there more to it that kind of makes it like not as interesting to you?
I would say it's less interesting on the consultancy side, maybe more interesting on like an internal red team or internal pen testing role. The reason is consultancies, you're dealing with a new project on pretty much a weekly basis, or at longest maybe a monthly basis, unless you're doing like government contracts. And you're pretty much telling every org the same thing. It's like, hey, there's this new, like Windows PCs have this thing called nearby sharing. It's like every bank that I pen tested had nearby sharing enabled. They didn't even know what it was, but it's like, hey, you might have USB protections and you disable USB. You have all these controls, but I don't need any of that because I could just transfer it over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. Um, and like there's so many cases like that, and they're not super exciting. It's just misconfigurations or lack of awareness. There were some good times where like there's a new vulnerability that was just released and the proof of concept still like it wasn't in Metasploit and you actually have to do some finagling to get it to work. Those were definitely fun, but even then it's hard to share that with a customer and say, hey, like AV evasion, I got really excited about AV evasion. I started popping everybody, and then it's just like the customer wants to know, well, what can we do about it? It's like, oh, well, you can add this control, but I could bypass that one too. Like they don't want to hear that. That is not that's not something that companies want from the consultant that they hired.
Yeah,
You mean it won't be perfect when you're done?
You have to be solution oriented. You can't just tell them what's wrong.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. I love people telling people what's wrong.
So that is another thing I've learned about myself. I don't know how I would do as an engineer. I love pointing out problems. I do not like fixing them. I'll prove that they're worth fixing, but I do not really care to take the time to sit there and fix it.
Yeah, I get that. I guess tell us a story of, I guess, maybe something fun that you did, with the hacking, something a little side. Was there any like say a company side quest that you did? Like, I don't know, hacking a coffee machine.
Yeah, once upon a time, there was something like that. Actually, so I wrote a blog post about hacking the coffee machine when I was working with you, and a couple years later, I was getting messages for people asking me for copies of the firmware that I had used to compromise it. So that was fun, but yeah, pretty much always looking to break anything that's or at least use it for something that it wasn't intended for. I think is the cool piece. It doesn't have to be like how can I destroy this company, but maybe like the coffee machine idea that started from just wanting to like play videos on the coffee machine screen. It wasn't like, hey, we want to actually hack this thing.
Yeah, I mean, the entire office enjoyed it. They loved the fact that we could now, use more than one size coffee. I don't know what coffee vendor thinks, what was it, like 8 ounces is the default, and it's like, yeah, everyone's gonna want an 8-ounce cup of coffee. I'm like, but you made a lot of people happy at the office with that one.
Well, Kyle, why don't we jump into another idea of we've talked about the things you don't like. Tell us more about the part that you do like. What's the kind of research that you're up to these days that you can share?
I love the software supply chain security space. That I I complain about everything, just so you know. Like, just because I say I don't like something doesn't mean I don't actually do it on a daily basis and enjoy parts of it. I'm just a big complainer. Um, so software supply chain security, when I say that, I specifically mean vulnerabilities in software packages. So like if you're writing an application in Python, when you import a package, that's what I focus on. I'm not talking about like move it breaches and SolarWinds issues, which most people put into that category. I just choose not to because I could do what I want. And so that space to me is a complete dumpster fire. I mean, just for the fact that people don't have a standard definition of what it is. But secondly, Cocoa Pods, a dependency manager for iOS and macOS. Well, it's Objective-C and Swift. So up until October 2023, there were 3 vulnerabilities that led to just complete compromise of the Cocoa Pods dependency manager. One was a zero-click account takeover. One was a way to take over pods that have not been. So basically, in 2014, they reset ownership of all pods, and you had to actually go out and like claim ownership of the pods. Since 2014 to October 2023, anybody could claim any of those unclaimed pods, and so it's just ridiculous. Like these types of vulnerabilities exist in dependency managers that, well, like you could, there's over 3 million applications for macOS and iOS that use Cocoa Pods. So you could potentially compromise, say, even if you compromise 1 million of those by injecting malware into the packages that they rely on, how many people are using those million applications? Like, is it in the billions? Because that's super scary. And this is just a like 2 researchers who happened to stumble upon this and reported it. God knows what nation states had under their sleeve or still have under their sleeve when it comes to stuff like that.
So what would you say are some of the ways to fix it? Like, I know there's a big bump in SBOMs and trying to make sure that you have that kind of information ahead of time. What else do you think the industry might need to do there?
Chalk up some money. Cocoa Pods, pretty much all of the package repositories and dependency managers are community operated, and they usually have some decent sponsors. But for example, the only 2 that I know off the top of my head that are owned by enterprises would be Maven, which is owned by Sonatype, and NPM, which is owned by Microsoft. I think I have that right. And so even those 2 are lacking a lot of basic security functionalities. I mean, NPM still is struggling. If you go to NPM, I actually suggest you do this. It's kind of fun. Just go to NPM and search Roblox or free Roblox, and you get like 20,000 malicious packages that are just promoting free Roblox. Whatever it's called, Robux.
Gotta go after the kids, man. They're the vulnerability.
Oh my God, my kids play Roblox still.
So we talked a lot about education, but we haven't talked a little bit about non-education. So I know a lot of us do a lot of self-learning. What's your favorite self-learning?
I'm a big believer in you need to struggle to learn. Like as much as I hate it in the moment, like afterwards, I just feel so good when I spend 10 hours straight just like bashing my head into the table, and then I finally figure it out. I don't know. Maybe it's like the trauma just like sticks with me, so I remember it for the rest of my life, and so I actually learn. But usually, if something's just like out there and easy to grasp, I won't care to remember it. So I'm definitely I'm a Google kid. I mean, I've had Google my entire life. Now I have AI, and I use AI all day long for work. I'm not copy pasting much, but I'm referencing it. I'm asking it for ideas that I didn't think of. It's an assistant. I'm also a big fan of like the second brain space. I don't go as far as to like maintain one, but I think it's really cool. Sherlock Holmes, I remember he talks about having like he calls it the mind library or something like that. talks about how you can only fit so many books in the library, and it's not going to waste his time with storing a book that's useless to him.
Interesting. I've definitely heard of people that could do that. They can easily cut something out of their brain and kind of just like dump things.
Well, I told my girlfriend I have selective photographic memory. So
I've heard the same BS from 2 other people in this group.
No, I really like the idea of the second brain method, because I've always told people if I can Google it, I don't need to memorize it. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the same way that I do it too, is I put a pointer up here. No, I know of it. I know what it can do. Do I really need to understand 100% of the syntax? Nah, I can go look that up. So 100% agree with you. And I think that's a great thing. Haven't actually heard very many people talk about second brain though. It's kind of a concept that's not really spoken about too often.
I think it'll come up more. Well, I forget the name of Microsoft's AI recording thing that got destroyed on the.
Oh, the add-on
Recall.
for Copilot, but
Yeah.
Recall, that's the one.
So there's another company, Rewind.ai, I believe it's called, and so it's similar functionality. They can record your screen. They also have a pendant that you can wear, and it records all your conversations. But I think, as scary as it is, I think I would really like it. Once, I don't know if I'll ever be able to commit to it, especially through some startup that's like the entirety of their business. But I really like the idea, and I wanted it initially because around when AI was starting, I had a similar idea because I was arguing with my girlfriend, and it was one of those arguments that's like, you said this, and it's like, no, I didn't. It's like, well, I really wish I could just ask AI if I said it. Like,
the tool that helps us with the wives. Oh, that's great.
I don't know if I want to be recorded 100% of the time there, Kyle, but it's a great idea.
You don't want to call on Alexa. I'm like, hey, Alexa, what did we say at 10:14 this morning?
What if the wife was right, though?
That's what most people said when I pitched that idea to them. They were like, that is not going to end well. Even if I was right, I was wrong, and if they were right, then I'm definitely wrong.
So I know we kind of go back to the education stuff a lot. This is just how I am. It's my passion. It's the thing I care the most about. So if we're hitting something too much, just change it. It's fine. But one of the things I really like to do is share these casts with a lot of students so that they can kind of see like ideas of how to like go different career paths in cybersecurity, right? And again, like we talked about pen testing, that's the one that comes up the most often with students because it sounds fun. But I don't hear a lot talking about cybersecurity like research. So can you help like up and coming students understand like what is that? What does it entail? And what does the path look like to get there?
Yeah, research, like all titles in security, it depends on the org as far as like what the responsibility is going to be. Like I'd say what I think most people don't realize, especially like during undergrad, is you have to be very careful about what type of cybersecurity you're doing, depending on what type of job you want. Like most people, at least that I remembered, they wanted to work at a FANG company, but they were learning more like sysadmin, network admin, with some like information security baked in. FANG companies are pretty much only hiring security engineers who are more code focused. There are infosec teams and corporate sec teams, but the bulk of the job positions are going to be security engineer roles, which most people have a comp sci background in. So similar on the security research side, I think security research can have all different types. It can be information security specific. It could be pen test specific. It can be security engineering specific, cloud security specific. But at the end of the day, to get a research role is going to require a lot of self-learning, a lot of self-authorship. You need to get the word out there that you are actually doing this. Like publications is super important. Something that I tried to do during undergrad, and I wish I invested more time into it. I just reached out to a professor who I knew was doing research in cybersecurity, and within like 30 minutes meeting him, he offered to let me do research with him. And that could have been like a super awesome opportunity, but he kind of let me do whatever I wanted with it, and I would rather party. So I didn't. That was the one opportunity I feel like I may have dropped the ball on. But yeah, academic type research experience is super valuable if you want a research role after college, I would say.
It sounds like, and this is just me kind of painting a picture of what you've described your career, right? You've got all these Discord channels, you got all these mentors that you've met, you've got professors that you connect with. It sounds like most of your path has been primarily just networking, right?
Yep. So my second cybersecurity internship was actually from my undergrad blog and my Twitter account. I am no longer on Twitter. I got tired of being canceled constantly, but it's ridiculous. I just apparently offend people. I don't know how, but anyway, I literally tweeted because I was going to go live in Virginia for an internship with a government contractor and go through the whole like clearance process and all that stuff. But it was in Virginia. Like, who the heck wants to live in Virginia? So I made a tweet saying looking for an internship near a beach, and I got a DM and a team lead for a security engineering team in San Diego DM'd me saying, "Hey, do you want to come work on the team? We have an internship role. Here's the app." So I got that internship, lived in San Diego for a summer. It was freaking awesome. That's why I moved back to San Diego a couple of years later, and I'm loving every bit of it.
Nice. You don't miss the weather out here?
Absolutely not.
Sorry to any Virginia viewers. We don't like it there either, actually.
No, I'm talking about New York weather. It's the one reason I never went to California. There is no weather. It's all sunny all the time. That's boring.
Yep. I love it.
Just not for me, and that's fine. All right. Before I get to the rapid questions, I do want to give you a little softball question that Shannon's been begging for. What's your favorite TV sitcom?
Can you clarify what a sitcom is?
TV show, anything that's serial in some nature.
TV sitcom?
Like Big Bang or anything. Have you watched? What's your like favorite show to watch?
Okay.
What are you binging these days?
What was it called? Like The Bear with like the chef. That was an awesome series. I've done the usuals like Game of Thrones. I'm actually rewatching Game of Thrones right now. But my favorite movies and TV shows are typically kind of probably how I sound in this podcast recording. I just like people that are unfiltered. Big Bang I am a huge fan of. Sheldon, like young Sheldon, pretty big fan. I did like Futurama, so you guys playing with the figure. That was like my favorite cartoon growing up on Adult Swim.
It's a great one. Yeah.
My mom went to bed.
But Mom's sleeping. I can go watch it now.
So not that 70s show. That 70s show is bad.
I really didn't like that 70s show. I did watch it, but yeah, you're right.
Fuck you guys.
A big fan.
Quit swaying the audience.
I just really like stuff that make you think. Like movies, like A Beautiful Mind is crazy to me. There's what's that one? It's like an island, Shelter Island. Love that movie. Inception, super cool.
Do you get frustrated with TVs and movies when they portray our field?
Not really. I mean, Mr. Robot was kind of lame, I would say.
Suck it.
Well, let me rephrase that. When they portray our field very badly, does that frustrate you? Because it frustrates the crap out of me.
Like CSI. CSI is really bad about it.
Hold on. Got it. I'm in.
I wouldn't say it frustrates me. I think I kind of just get a giggle out of it. It's like, sure, let people believe that's what it's like. But I also think that might be contributing to why there's so many people who want to work in cybersecurity and don't really make it.
6 figures, and all I have to do is 5 clicks. This is awesome.
Well, until your boss comes to you and figure out why you haven't finished it yet, because CSI did in 2 seconds. So
Yeah, there's a lot of evangelizing in cybersecurity, even just for the aspect like, oh, you get to work from home. It's like, yes, I get to work from home, which means I'm the designated babysitter for the puppy who destroys everything all day long. And that means I also likely am working till 8 p.m. because, well, I don't know how to stop working. That might be a me problem, but
yeah, designated dishwasher if there's anything left in the sink. Yeah, I know that.
Yep.
All right,
I
let's
get
do
text.
rapid questions. Let's move on to them. All right, Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi,
PC or Mac?
Mac,
All right, that was a lot more conviction on that one. Marvel or DC?
DC.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek was before my time, but Star Wars.
Oh man, favorite streaming service?
Probably. I hate all of them now. Probably HBO. I'm so pissed at Amazon Prime and all these like freaking commercials now. Amazon Prime, every recommended movie costs money. What are the odds of that? Like, I pay for Prime, but now I got to pay extra to watch the damn movie that you recommend. Of course, it's the best one for me. No surprise there.
Yeah, it's on my bingo card.
And your favorite vacation spot?
Kauai in Hawaii. Nice. It's awesome. Yeah.
You know,
All right,
Star
awesome.
Trek makes new content, right?
I had no idea. Sorry, I had no idea.
That's for us older folks, Kenny.
all right, one last plug there for you, Kyle. Other than cramhacks.com, how can someone get a hold of you if they want to work with you, network, or anything you want to share?
I consider myself a linked influencer. Hopefully you get the pun there. But yeah, it's the only social media that I have yet to be canceled on. So I'm going to keep going until it happens.
You have a goal. Good job.
All right, Kyle, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.